significant margin. In 1986 NFL Draft, Auburn running back Bo Jackson was the first pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jackson is the only professional athlete in history to be named an All-Star in both baseball and football. And in 2018, Shaquem Griffin is the first one-handed player to be drafted into the NFL for the Seattle Seahawks. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together, and as one team we will get through these difficult times. And together we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll Tide.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tea time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys' weekend, treat her to a gift card from Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa. Follow Stillwater's on Facebook or Instagram to enter contests and win great prizes. Or visit swmedspa.com.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. On this Friday afternoon, weekend's right around the corner. Things are, well, we're getting there, getting back to normal. Of course, the beaches opened up this morning. A lot of people out there. So, you know what? If you're wanting to practice social distancing, maybe stay away from the beach for just a little bit. But nonetheless, good to see things starting to get there. Restaurants opening back up a little bit. Retail's opening back up. We're starting to get rolling. But remember, it's very important in this time, and I said this yesterday and I will say it again, to continue to practice social distancing, take your precautions, because look, if things go well, we're going to continue to open up, but we need to keep doing what we've been doing because it's working right now. As we always do, I will start out the show. We want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers. Look, they've been on the front lines every single day regardless of this virus here, but what they've been able to do so far is just amazing. I mean, just the calmness that you get from them, talking to some of them. I have friends that are on both sides of it, from the first responder side to the healthcare side. Just it's so refreshing to see the great attitudes they have going through all this, and they're welcome to do it. They love doing it. It's a part of their job, and they know that. But we also want to thank the grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers out there as we've been going through this. Listen, like I said, we're starting to get back to normal. We still got a long way to go, but we appreciate everything you guys do. Coach, I know that you feel the same way. How are you doing today, my friend?
I feel the same way. Start the show. Thanks to serve it. Done until
I think we're having, Coach, you're sounds like you got bad reception right there. We'll see if we can figure that out real quick, but nonetheless, let's see if this sorts itself out real quick. I want to thank our sponsors. Look, I know that it's tough for everybody right now. We appreciate our sponsors for everything that they do, not only just with us. We appreciate them sticking with us, but what do they mean to the community? I mean, they are out in the community, out and about doing their thing. I think it's phenomenal just to see. Look, I mentioned our sponsors, but just our community in general, what they've been able to do has been phenomenal. Listen, the only reason we are able to do what we're doing now is because what you're the listener right here. We could not do this without you. That's important to remember. The city of Pensacola, we live in a great place. We live in a phenomenal place, one of the most beautiful places around, and we couldn't do it without you. That's something that's important to remember, but we do want to thank our sponsors. And listen, we had some great guests this week so far. Vic Carucci, Bill Polian, and Joe Theismann joining us. It's been a lot of fun. I do want to open up the phone lines, 850-623-1330. Look, we appreciate you as the listener. Like, we got so much to talk to, so a little bit of time here on this Friday afternoon. Coach, I think, you're sounding better now, Coach. So how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing fine. I'm sorry this reception is not as it should be, but sometimes we run into that, I guess. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, like I said, we're practicing our own social distancing here, so you know what? It's going to happen. And, Coach, if that's our biggest problem, we're going to be okay because we've got other ways around it.
You bet.
So, Coach, I want to talk about something that it's interesting. Now, Greg Sankey came out yesterday talking to 1010XL Radio in Jacksonville. We talked to Brent Baird from time to time as well, who's on that show. He talking about the conferences, and we're hearing all different types of things going on, just what ifs. And it's something that's interesting. Listen, Greg Sankey talking about what if a conference could do it and maybe one conference can't do it while everybody else can. And he said, listen, there's room for different conferences to make different decisions, but we are all interconnected. Now, of course, he says when we're playing in basketball tournaments, there was no connection. We were all in different arenas playing each other. If there's a couple of programs that aren't able, does that stop everyone? I'm not sure it does, but the ability for us to stay connected will remain important. He said, so listen, the answer is it's a hard circumstance. The reason to heed advice at the beginning of the program is what we want to do this together. We need to do this together. Now, what are the elements that would resolve the differentials among our 11 states? Talking about the SEC, of course. I think the ability to answer is actually included in the hypothetical. So could a state have fewer fans, some fans, no fans? That's the question here, and could they gather their team members at all? That's a whole different element to this. Coach, you look at this, and he's talking about the SEC, of course, but then throughout the nation. We know things down here are different than in other places. Listen, Iowa said the other day, all the Iowa schools came out and said, yeah, we're good to go. We're ready to go. They're in fact going to have players planning right now, barring some unforeseen circumstance, coming back June 1st. They're going to have employees coming back June 1st. This is something that we're seeing. It's different everywhere else than New York and other places as well, but Coach, my question to you in all this is, when we see this, could this happen, meaning could maybe the Big Ten? Now, I will mention on the Big Ten, Bobby Carpenter, obviously everybody knows Bobby Carpenter, a former Ohio State Buckeye, has a big show up there with the Big Ten Network. He came on and said, listen, people asked him, could the Big Ten separate? And he said, well, the Big Ten is known for sticking together through things. He said, but guess what? Nobody has gone through this before. And the one thing that will ring true is if everybody else is ready to go and maybe one or two teams aren't, it comes down to dollar signs, and that's where he thinks there could be separation. So, Coach, my question is, does this have to be unanimous across the board in college football, or if a conference or a couple teams aren't ready to go, that ruins it for everybody, or how do you see this panning out?
Oh, we've never been through it before. That's the main thing. So it's going to be difficult, especially for some smaller schools, JP. I think the larger schools are going to find some way to make this happen. They're going to play football. Now, there may be a little delay in the season starting. They may have to reduce the number of fans that they're going to allow in the stadium. Don't know how they're going to do that, but that may be a possibility. And I think some of the larger schools will be ready to go. Some of the smaller schools, certainly mid-range and smaller schools, it's going to be more difficult for them.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's important what Bobby Carpenter said as well, as he was just talking about the Big Ten, and they've always known to stick together through things and then never really disagree necessarily. But he says when it comes to this, he said throw everything out the window, because if a team can go out and make some money, that changes the whole dynamic of everything on this when you're talking about being able to bring in your revenue from college football. We know college football reigns supreme, of course, down here in the South, but at every program it brings in a tremendous amount of money no matter where. But moving on, Coach, a couple things here. Now, some people, in the news, of course, the Patriots never seem to be out of the news. Bill Belichick's draft is coming under fire. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, he didn't go out and get wide receiver. He didn't get a quarterback. He had opportunities to go get these guys. A couple people that know him pretty well, of course, people that report on him all the time, came out with an article, and I thought it was interesting. And they said, listen, you have to understand Bill Belichick. And that's part of the problem. He said, nobody understands Bill Belichick except Bill Belichick. And you can kind of see where he goes on some of his picks, but he loves defense and he loves special teams. He knows that is the foundation of a football team. Now, Coach, when we look at this, we'll talk about Andy Dalton in a few minutes, but from his picks, I mean, he drafted edge rushers. He drafted Kyle Duggar, the safety out of Lenore Ryan, the D2 guy right there. This is interesting when you look at the draft. Now, he went out. He didn't get wide receivers, but he went out and got 2 tight ends. And we know that Belichick, listen, even going back to his Giants days, their best receiver, when him and Parcells were coaching, was a tight end. Going through, if you think about all these years with Brady and everything else, you think tight end. And the majority of his years, his tight end has been his top receiver. It's just the way he plays football. It's the way they coach. Coach, when you look at this for Bill Belichick, is there any reason you should be worried as a Patriots fan? What do you think about the draft? And are you questioning Belichick through any of this?
I may have a question or two, but listen, my confidence in Belichick is reigns supreme. I can assure you. Got all the respect in the world for what he does, how he does it, and I'm very appreciative of that. But I think I do have a question as to where he's planning on going with the quarterback position. It looks to me that he has an awful lot of confidence in Stedham. Now, let me tell you, I can see that. This kid's very talented. There's some reasons that maybe he hasn't been everything that people would have hoped for. But hey, we haven't. He's only played 4 plays in a regular season game so far. So let's give him a chance to make that happen. Remember what Belichick and that staff has done with people when Brady wasn't there. The few times that Brady wasn't there. But I think overall they're going to be reduced some. JP, because the big reason, one thing, is the loss of Brady. You can't tell me that they're going to be able to rip all that he did. I don't think that's even possible. Now they're going to make adjustments, and they're not going to rely on somebody replacing exactly Tom Brady. They're going to play another. Other approaches offensively, other schemes. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. It looks to me like he's going to rely heavily on the run game and defense and special teams, like you said. And if you look at what they've been moving toward the last couple of years, is to really beef up that defense. And last year, I think they were, if they weren't the number one rated defense in the NFL, they were right up there, number 1, 2, or 3. So just keep that in mind, that we may see real old school football from Belichick. He's done it before.
Yeah, the one thing too, when you think about old school football nowadays, Coach, it's like playing that triple option team. You know, you got to go face them, but you only play them for 1 week, and you're sitting there worried about the spread offenses and everything else going on. Getting back to the old school way of doing things is a little bit different because your defense continues just to ramp up of 5 wides and things like that, what we're used to seeing. So I'll tell you what, with Belichick, I could see that working, and I could see him having a lot of success. I'm with you. I will not count out Bill Belichick until it's over with. That's the one thing I'll say with him. It's he has never let people down when you look at it, and he does things unorthodox. And that's where I go back to this. In the article, they talk about people trying to understand his draft. He said, forget about it. You're not going to understand his draft because he's Bill Belichick. There's a reason that he's done what he's done for as long as he has, and it's because nobody can figure him out and figure out what he's trying to do. That's the glory in all this. So, Coach, I want to talk about something, though. With mentioning Jarrett Stidham, I agree. I like Jarrett Stidham. I think people are judging Jarrett Stidham, and they don't even know the kid, just because of who he is, a fourth-round guy. Well, how many fourth-rounders and how many late-round draft picks have gone on to have success? And if any fourth-round guy was going to have success, it would be with the Patriots. That's all I'm going to say. I understand they have a lot of things they need to build, but I think with Jarrett Stidham, he's a great guy. We've talked about him plenty on the show. I won't go into the detail with it. But we're hearing a lot about Andy Dalton. Now, my question to you, Coach, when we're talking about Andy Dalton and all this is, okay, look, I want to throw this out there. Andy Dalton is 45-8 when his team allows fewer than 20 points. Andy Dalton was 50-26-1 in his first 5 years and led the Bengals to the playoffs in all 5 years. Now, I know he didn't get a win, but let's think about that Bengals team as well. Let's think about the organization. Let's think about the last 4 years that he's been with the Bengals and what they've looked like, and have they really built success around the guy. This is a guy that I have a lot of faith in. I like him. I think this would be perfect, of course, if he went to the Patriots, of like a comeback story, because him and Bill Belichick, I think they would mesh so perfectly. But what I'm going to ask you is not, is Andy Dalton going to the Patriots? Of course, we don't know that. But would Andy Dalton work better than a Jarrett Stidham? Meaning, everybody is coming out and saying, well, Jarrett Stidham's been in that offense for a year. He played behind Tom Brady. Nobody knows it better than him. Bringing Andy Dalton in to try to learn that offense would not mesh pretty well. Coach, what say you to those allegations right there?
What points, but I thought would be a good fit. Mind, I've already made up his mind.
Yeah, Coach, you're having a bad connection. What I'm going to do, we're going to go to break real quick. I'm going to get Coach on the line with us. Something's going on. Like I said, we're practicing social distancing right now. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So we're going to go to break real quick. I do want to talk to Coach about this because I think it's interesting because Coach, Coach played in the NFL. He coached in the NFL. He won games. He was a fantastic recruiter. He knows all about this. That's where you hear a lot of people that I don't believe know too much about the system and the coaching side of it, that I want to get his take on this. We'll be right back after this to talk more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as he gets older, one of the most embarrassing things, my daughter's 3, I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well, practicing your social distancing. We're starting to get back to normal. We're not completely there yet, but nonetheless, continue doing what you're doing. It's working. Good. We're talking some football with you. Coach, got you on the line now. Of course, you know, not everything works as we always want it to, but I want to get back to that point of Andy Dalton. Now, you've coached, you understand how the processes go. We know Bill Belichick, it's a little bit different probably than anybody else that we've ever seen. But what my question was, again, to refresh people, is Andy Dalton is a great quarterback. Now, a lot of people are saying that Jarrett Stidham is better suited to run that offense than bringing Andy Dalton in, because Andy Dalton would have to learn the offense when Stidham was there under Brady for a year, and it just has a year ahead of him. Coach, when you look at the talent level, now we're not sure what Stidham is going to be. He could be fantastic, but is there any speculation, or are you against bringing an Andy Dalton in? Would it really be that tough for a veteran like Andy Dalton to come in and learn this Bill Belichick offense?
No, I've said for a long time that I felt that Andy Dalton would be a good fit in New England, would do a heck of a job. But there are always extenuating circumstances. Like, for example, Belichick, one way they could be leading is Stidham is a young guy, only in his just finished his first year. He's going to be around quite a long while. Now, Andy Dalton's got at least 3 or 4 more years he's going to play, but Belichick may be looking at the 10-year, 12-year approach. That to take Stidham and just move forward with him, he'll get better and better and better as they go. He's now listen, Stidham is a talented young man, and I will go back to this. I've said it many times. In checking with people that I know are good talent scouts, no talent, they told me when he transferred from Baylor to Duke, to Auburn, Baylor to Auburn, sorry, that he was the real deal, that he was going to be a heck of a player in the Southeastern Conference. And really, when you look back at what he did at Baylor, he was quite effective as a Baylor quarterback early on as a freshman, I think. But he gets the ball downfield. He throws the ball downfield very well. He's accurate. I don't think the Auburn offensive system fit him all that well. I think he would have been more successful and more productive under another system, but that's me. So I have to move on from there. I think he's going to do a good job at New England. I think he'll be a very good quarterback. And again, I think what we're looking at possibly is Belichick just saying, hey, we're going with the young guy, and we're going with him for 10, 12 years, and let's just move on with what we got to move on with. He's talented and will do a good job in the long run for us. But to answer your question again, I do think that that they could possibly use both, and both might be a very good situation for them.
Yeah, Coach, I agree. I think with whatever Belichick does at this point, we are opted to believe that that's probably obviously what's best for the Patriots. I think it's interesting. Like we talked about the draft, a lot of people disagreed with the draft, but how many times have we ever truly agreed with what Belichick has drafted? Now, everybody thought he was going to go out and get the quarterback. I thought it. I know you thought too, as well, with Jake Fromm sitting there. Would have been the perfect prototypical guy for him, but it didn't happen that way. Now, Belichick, of course, coming out and saying that wasn't by design. Now, we're not sure what that means. That could just be Belichick talk. But, Coach, that's the reason I ask you about Andy Dalton, because that's what we're hearing is, well, Jarrett Stidham's been under Brady for a year. He's been in that offense for a year. So you'd be hard-missed to bring in another guy. But I think Andy Dalton is a guy that completely is underrated just because of where he played. Now, like I said, this is a guy that was 50, 26-1 in his first 5 years and led him to the playoffs. Did he get a playoff win? No, he did not, but he did lead that Bengals team. This is a team that wasn't exactly lighting the world up, and then his last 4 years, he's 15 games under 500, and we have to look at the Bengals team. I like Andy Dalton. I'm not going to say he's an elite quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but what I will say is he's a good quarterback, and I think he would be a great fit in New England. But nonetheless, Coach, talking about quarterbacks and talking about the team that just let him go, the Cincinnati Bengals right now, I know we want to talk about this week. The quarterbacks that got drafted, it was an interesting draft nonetheless, but Joe Burrow going to the Bengals. Well, I'm going to ask you, Coach, about Joe Burrow, and kind of when we go through this, how you see this panning out for them. Was it a good move for the team to draft them, and where do we see these guys in a few years moving forward? Coach, with the Bengals and Joe Burrow, they have got some weapons around them. Let's remember they also added T. Higgins. They have A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd. They have a great running back in Joe Mixon. The offensive line is a suspect at this point. Of course, getting Jonah Williams back is going to be good for them, but the defense needs a lot of work. A team in Cincinnati right now that I just mentioned about Andy Dalton that has not exactly been in great hands. Zach Taylor, I thought, has done a good job so far. They've, in the offseason, gotten a lot of guys. Remember, Zach Taylor's the same guy that came out and said, look, we got 8 guys from playoff teams, and I think that's going to help our culture in the locker room. Now, Coach, we talked about that a little bit, but going back to Joe Burrow in this, how do you see this panning out for Joe Burrow? It doesn't have to be 10 years down the road, but just next year and then moving forward, do you think that he is going to be as good as advertised?
I do. I think it was a great draft choice. I don't think they really have any choice, being where they are, where he's from, what he did last year. It was a no-brainer. But it was a good choice to boot. Sometimes you're faced with a have to, maybe feel like you have to draft someone that's not a good choice. But he is a good choice, and he's going to do a great job. I think that Cincinnati will be a much improved football team. Now, that's not saying a lot. They only won, 3 games last year. But I could see them moving up and winning 6, 7 ball games, maybe even 8 this year, because I think Joe Burrow is that good a quarterback, and he's got some good weapons up there. Like you said, I think they're a better football team maybe than people realize.
Yeah, I agree. And, Coach, I like Zach Taylor a lot. I think it's a younger coach in there, and I know, of course, the GM with problems and the owners and everything that they've had before, but I do like Zach Taylor a lot. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to go win games, but I thought that for what it was this year, it was interesting to say the least. But Joe Burrow being there, I think Joe Burrow is going to have success, and they'll build around him. That's the important part about that. I was worried that the Bengals were going to trade away that pick and not get Joe Burrow, and now here we are again with question marks for Cincinnati. I'm glad that they stuck with it. They got him, and moving forward now, I think it's best for everybody. But Coach, the one that there was so many smoke and mirrors, so much smoke and mirrors in all this with Tua Tagovailoa there with the Dolphins. Now, we heard that the Dolphins were possibly going to take Justin Herbert, that they could possibly trade up. We had heard the Washington Redskins had thought about it at one point. Coach, when you see Tua with the Dolphins, I like the pick for the Dolphins. I think it's a high risk but high reward there. I think he's going to be fine. The one thing that with Tua, I think it's important to remember, I don't see him starting, of course, day one. They still have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who did a good enough job last year, and is not a complete bum in all this. Let's remember that. This team with the Dolphins was not supposed to win ball games, and they technically won more than what they were supposed to. When you look at it, the whole tank for Tua, they were trading away all these guys to get draft picks in order to revamp that squad, and they were continuing to win some games they shouldn't have, including beating the Patriots there in the last game. Sorry, Chad, but when you talk about Tua, Coach, for the Dolphins, you look at it, they don't have the best weapons. I mean, they got Devontae Parker, Allen Hurns is there, Albert Wilson, guys that are good. They're not great, but they're good. The offensive line needs some help, but once again, like I said, this is a team that's rebuilding. Couple questions for you, Coach. Number one, do you see Tua starting in year one? And then question two is, where do you see Tua going after this?
Well, it's an interesting question, JP. I'm afraid that it's going to be touch and go as to whether he can start this season or should start. I think that's the operative word is should rather than could. He's more likely to be a could be starter than a should be, because there are a lot of people who are going to say they should keep him out and not expose him to all that, especially early in the year. Now, I don't know. We're not on top of that, so I can't say. You can't say, and only a coach and evaluator and a medical team that have been right on top of everything could give us an answer as to whether he should start this year. My guess is that he could. Also, I think it was an excellent draft pick. That is one risky pick that I said I would have made. I think that much of Tua. I really think that was a pick that you would say, yeah, it's risky. You'd have to say, yeah, it's risky, and I don't have an okay, but I think in the long run, this is going to be a great football player for us, and he's going to make our organization much better. Plus, he's a great guy in the locker room and a leader-type kid. Everything about him, he checks all the boxes. So I would have made that pick. You got to keep your fingers crossed, but it's a good pick, I think.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I think with Tua, I hope that they don't rush him into starting. We know how things can get. I think that with Brian Flores and what they're doing there, I have a little more belief in them. Things are different with the Dolphins organization now. And, look, they've had a great offseason. They had a good draft. Maybe some of their draft picks they reached on a little bit. But Tua, I think they hit a home run with. And I think not second-guessing that was great for them. I think it's going to work out. And, of course, I know Coach, we both love Tua. We wish him nothing but the best. And it's going to be fun to see what he can do in the NFL. Coach, another guy, of course, not a fan favorite, my favorite here, Justin Herbert, the former Oregon Duck. You know I love Oregon, Coach. People don't know why. But going to the Chargers, I thought this was solid. They have Tyrod Taylor, and Anthony Lynn has come out and said, look, Tyrod's our guy. We like him. We don't want to bring in another veteran quarterback. I think that was obviously saying that they were going to take Justin Herbert to build for the future here. I think Tyrod Taylor, look, he's had similar numbers his last 42 games to Cam Newton. That's something that people kind of go, wait a minute, well, look it up. He actually has fairly good numbers compared to Cam Newton. So when you look at this, just to give you an idea about him playing, I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor is the future by any means, but Justin Herbert going to the Chargers I thought was a great move. I think it's a good move for Justin Herbert as well, because this is a guy that, is 6'6", 240 pounds. He's mobile enough, got a big arm. He's got some things to work on. I think it'll take him a couple years to acclimate fully, but I think he's a great guy. He's not a project by any means like when you're talking about a guy like Jordan Love, of you're hoping that the potential comes out in him. I think for Justin Herbert, the potential is there. And listen, scouts even said that he was playing in the wrong offense in Oregon. So we're not sure what his ceiling is, and we just like him already. So when you look at the intangibles, which is something I know, Coach, that you talk about all the time, especially with quarterbacks, this is a guy that, they've got a decent team built around him. They're starting to build a little bit more. But Justin Herbert to the Chargers, Coach, we think he probably won't play year one. I think it'd be best for him. Look, Justin Herbert already come out and said, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. But when you look at Justin Herbert and the intangibles and everything, Coach, do you think he's going to have success in this league?
I do. I like Justin Herbert. And keep in mind, almost every scout that we talked to last year said that if Justin Herbert had come out last year, he would have been the number one quarterback taken. So I think he's got all of the talent. The measurables are off the charts. Physically, everything about him, throwing the football, size, intelligence, football savvy, you name it, he's got it. I think he's going to be successful. Now, as to whether he's going to play early or when he starts or becomes a starter, he is going to be dependent on a few things, but one in particular, and keep this in mind with Tua as well. I should have mentioned this when we were talking about Tua. He's got an owner in Ross who is very, very revenue-oriented, if you know what I mean. And if the fans start clamoring for Tua to play to the extent that if they're not doing well and Tua's not playing, and the fans start boycotting and staying away, Tua's going to play. Now, the same is true in Los Angeles. I think the fans will play a big part in just how early or when he goes in and starts playing. But I think they're going to be successful with him, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback, a very good quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, Coach.
By the way, I meant to tell you, hopefully after the break, I had a couple of questions yesterday from friends of mine wanting to discuss the ratings that just came out, the FBI ratings in college football. So if we get a chance, maybe we can get to that after the break.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've got some other quarterbacks that we can talk to, Coach, but I planned on getting to that as well. So what we'll do is we'll go to break. When we come back, as we always do, we're going to talk about a team, the Georgia Tech, real quick. And I do want to get to those rankings as well because that's important in all this. But the Ramblin' Wreck they were a wreck last year, and it's going to be interesting just to see that last year to this year, their spring preview. We'll talk a little bit about it right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Chad Brilliante from the Afternoon Sports Drive, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Weekend's right around the corner. The beaches are opening back up, but please, as you've heard before, enjoy responsibly through all that. Continue to practice your social distancing so we don't end back up where we were before. We're talking some football with you, Coach. This, as we've been doing, we've broken down some teams from the SEC. We're working our way through the ACC. We won't spend too much time on it today. This is a team that, interesting, of course, when you talk about the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, you think triple option, Paul Johnson. Not anymore. That's not happening anymore here. This is a team, of course, last year going 3-9, but Jeff Collins at the helm for the first year, averaging a little over 16 points, which was almost dead last in college football, giving up over 32 points, which is 104th in the nation. Not going to cut it, but nonetheless, a couple things I want to talk about. We'll start out with the schedule this year. Doesn't start out very easy for Georgia Tech. Now they get a home game, but they get to play Clemson. Then they're staying home for a couple more games against Gardner-Webb. Then they play UCF, then on the road right there at North Carolina. Also on the road again at Virginia Tech. 2 tough games back-to-back. Make that 3 as they get to host Virginia, but that's another tough game. Taking on Pitt Panthers right there at Heinz Field. Going to the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, then back home to host the Duke Blue Devils. Look, they get to play in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but they get to play Notre Dame, which is not exactly very fun. Shouldn't be fun for them. Then they get to host the Miami Hurricanes, and then on the road right there for the big rivalry against Georgia. Coach, when you look at this team, a couple things, like I said, not very good offensively, not very good defensively. Of course, Jeff Collins is trying to build that team. This is a team that did nothing but triple option. They had a couple 45-point losses to Virginia Tech and Georgia in November, but they also defeated Miami and NC State in the second half of the season and almost beat eventual ACC Coastal champ Virginia. Now, they've got a tough schedule coming up, obviously, but I think it's important to remember the offensive cohesion here. Now, remembering the transfer from triple option to a spread-style offense has got to be unbelievable. I just can't imagine it. You know, anybody that's probably – Coach, I don't know if you've ever tried it before. Just imagining from a coaching perspective, when you've got the players on the roster, remember Jeff Collins comes in, and those are triple option style players, and you're trying to turn them into a spread offense. Of course, it's not really going to work out. When you look at this, of course, defensively, don't let the numbers fool you. Now, I know they were about 104th in the nation, but let's remember the offense was so bad it was putting the defense up against the gun, and that's tough. They're never going to win right there. We know Jeff Collins tried to make it easier for them throughout the year. They actually had a good front seven, and the majority of their front seven's coming back. But Jeff Collins needs to continue building here. This is going to take some time, Coach. When you look at Georgia Tech, though, look, it's a team that has potential. We know what they're trying to be. Jeff Collins is a good enough coach. I can't imagine, like I said, the headaches that you take a triple option team and you're trying to turn them into something that they weren't even recruited for. We saw some guys leave. But when you look at Georgia Tech, Coach, my first question to you is, how much of a nightmare is it to take a triple option team and turn them into a spread team? I know you may not have done it, but just the coaching aspect of it. And second, how good can this Georgia Tech team truly be right now?
Well, first question, it's very difficult because you've drafted people specifically for a triple option offense, and they don't jive with the open 5 receiver, type offense that spread offenses that you see today. Now, I will say this about Georgia Tech. My first thought is always, back years ago, Georgia Tech used to be one of the powerhouse teams in the country every year. Up in the top 5 rated teams in the country, always playing Notre Dame and other major schools and winning. And just Bobby Dodd was a great coach. How the mighty have fallen to be what they are now. Now, I do have to say, I think Collins will do a good job. It was a terrible task he had to turn that football team into what his type offense is, for example, and defense. I'm sure had a big change. But they're going to be better and better under him. He's good. I think he's a good football coach. And it was a good example that you pointed out that later in the year, they really showed some promise there with games that they both won and played tough in later in the year. So I think there's going to be some carryover there, but I still don't. With that schedule and playing Clemson and Notre Dame and Georgia and the teams that they got to play, I just don't see how they can win, even if they have improvement. JP, I don't see how they can win over 5, 6 ball games at the most, and that's with them improved. That's quite a bit of improvement from last year. So, just it's a tough sled right now for Georgia Tech.
Coach, I have one question about Georgia Tech I'll ask you is the move from a triple option to a spread offense there. Now, what I'm asking here is was that the right move to bring Jeff Collins in to change that whole dynamic? And what I mean by that is in order to possibly be successful and play at a top-tier level, we see triple option teams, we see Navy and teams like that have success, but they're never, I guess, above and beyond. What I mean by that is they can't compete with the Clemsons and schools like that. Changing Georgia Tech from a triple option to a spread offense, was it the right move long-term for Georgia Tech?
Well, 2 or 3 things you have to think about. There are very few coaches in the country that can coach a triple option wishbone type offense now. They're just few and far between. And even fewer believe in that as being the offense they should use to be successful. It's been tough to play because people don't see it that much, number one, and they have to they have to provide. They have to get ready for a football game that really is totally foreign to their players. But I think even with that, it's very difficult to have an offense that is productive, both passing and running football. It's impossible to have a productive passing offense out of the wishbone, but you just can't have what you need to put points on the board continually with a wishbone offense. That's my opinion, and I think it would be very difficult to try to do it. Now, Johnson, a previous coach up there, did a great job at Valdosta State, at Navy, and at Georgia Tech, but there aren't many Johnsons around.
Yeah, I agree. I think long term that's important to remember. And look, I had a coach in high school that grew up doing the wishbone and triple option. We ran it quite a bit sometimes. And it was great to mix in those plays just because of nobody knows what to do matchup-wise. And look, one thing with a triple option offense, if you're in the wrong gap, you're gone, buddy. I can go ahead and tell you. That's where you see teams like Navy and stuff, and Georgia Tech for so long have success. And really, all you need is one good wide receiver. And that's where you look at guys like Calvin Johnson. We forget Calvin Johnson played over there at Georgia Tech. It was darn good at it, you know. But anyway, Coach, I think it's important, you know, to mention that because Georgia Tech, it's a time in the age, the way everything is now, the spread offense is probably easier to recruit, although it is tough for Georgia Tech. Let's remember that's a tougher school to go to as well. Being right there in Atlanta is probably a good thing, but nonetheless, recruiting-wise, is tough just because they're right in the middle of everybody taking their recruits from them. But nonetheless, it's a team in Georgia Tech. I think that their ceiling this coming year is probably 4 to 5 games. We'll see what happens year 2. It could be different, but they play a tough schedule. That's the reason that I hinder myself of thinking they can get bowl eligible is just because of the Clemsons and the Virginias and all those teams, Notre Dames that they play. It's going to be very, very tough, to say the very least. But, Coach, we're going to go ahead and go to break. So when we come back, we'll have plenty of time. We're going to break down the FPI rankings right there for college football. Some pretty interesting stats here, and a team that's up top that may not necessarily surprise you. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
The latest sports news is at ESPNpensacola.com and on Facebook at ESPN Pensacola. Plus, watch Chad Brillante, Coach K, and Sports Call live on our exclusive YouTube channel, ESPN Pensacola 1330. This is Northwest Florida's all sports, all the time station. From Destin to New Orleans, sports fans come here for ESPN and local sports talk. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Weekend's right around the corner. The beaches are opening back up. Like I said before, please enjoy responsibly out there. Let's not go backwards in all this. But nonetheless, we're talking some football with you. Coach, I know we wanted to get to the FPI rankings that just were released here. It's interesting because when you look at the NCAA football's rankings that they released earlier, matches up pretty well here. Now, this is, of course, a couple things that go on into this is this is college football playoff projections, percentage of reaching the playoffs, the percentage to win the national championship. There's so much that goes into this. If your team is not on top, there's probably a reason why. And what I mean by that is a team that we both like in Alabama is third on this list. But remember, Alabama is also in the SEC, so the road is a lot tougher than some of these other teams. Coach, I think no surprise here. Clemson sitting up top at the ACC, a team or a conference that's not exactly very strong right now, to say the least. Interesting to see what's going to happen with that conference this year. But 81% chance to reach the playoff, pretty high number, but I would agree with that. And a 36% to win the national championship. Now, Coach, we saw this last year, LSU overtaking Clemson. Clemson's right back in this thing again. Any surprise to Clemson? Any worries with Clemson this year when you look at that team that's coming back?
No, I think that's absolutely the choice. I think Clemson is an outstanding football team. They play in a conference that gives them a very good chance to stock up wins and get better as they go along. But they're a good football team, and they've got an outstanding quarterback, which makes them even more potent. So, no, I like Clemson. I think they're far and away the number one team.
Yeah, Clemson is loaded with first-round NFL talent when you look at it. Even Travis Etienne is coming back at that running back position. A lot of people forget he's still there. This is a guy that's phenomenal. The offensive line, they're having to replace some guys, but they also have five-star recruits coming in there to replace. Dabo has always reloaded that team. This is a team that I think it's more importantly said they are in the ACC, so their road is much easier than other teams. So moving on to number 2 here, Coach, a team that will have a tougher road in the Big Ten. The Ohio State Buckeyes have a 64% chance to reach the playoff according to the playoff projections here, and a 21% chance to win the national championship. This Ohio State team, remember, Justin Fields returns. Now they do have some defensive linemen that are gone. Some of the secondary is gone. Running back and J.K. Dobbins is gone. They've gotten some recruits to come in. Look, this is a team that is reloading. I mean, they lost quite a few guys, Coach, in Ohio State. But when you look at the Big Ten, Ohio State, to me, reigns supreme. I don't know if Michigan can overtake them. They haven't overtaken them in the past 4 or 5 years here. Wisconsin, we know they're so one-dimensional, and that ends up hurting them in the game because they can't throw the football like you need to against a team like Ohio State. Any surprise with Ohio State being number 2 here, Coach? And when you look at this team having to reload, do we think that Ryan Day is going to be able to do this again?
Well, I can see this with some people, Ohio State being there. Personally, I would put Alabama at number 2. I think that number 1, you compare Nick Saban with, gives them quite an edge. I understand playing in the Southeastern Conference is going to be tougher, but I still think Alabama will be the number 2 team. I think Clemson, Alabama being head-to-head again.
Yeah, I agree. I think Clemson and Alabama, when you look at them, it's comparing apples to apples. I mean, it's the same thing. You can switch them up. That's where, of course, Alabama number 3 right here, coming out of the SEC. That's my belief of why they're 3 and why they have a 59% chance to reach the playoff, a 17% chance to win the national championship. And after these 3 teams, it drops off significantly. But looking at Alabama, Coach, this is a team that has a great problem at the quarterback position. They're not sure who their quarterback's going to be, and it's not a bad thing. That's we think Mac Jones might be the guy, but Paul Tyson's there. Of course, Tua's brother, Talia's there. They've got tons of talent. Bryce Young, the 5-star recruit out of California, is also there. They've got so many guys there at that quarterback position. The running back, Najee Harris, is coming back. A lot of that offensive line is coming back. The defense look, they had the linebackers come back is phenomenal. We thought that they were going to the NFL. Of course, that some of those guys were hurt last year on that defense, so the defense wasn't what it normally is. A lot of freshmen playing up in high-level situations. Those guys are now sophomores. They've got another year under their belt. I think this team, it's going to be up to Pete Golding. I think Pete Golding, look, Saban was smart in getting him some help in the coaching staff, but when I look at Pete Golding, this is his year. If they have a bad year, I don't think Pete Golding is going to survive just because of the talent that's around him. They know the talent. Last year, you could make a little bit of an excuse because of all the injuries, but post-Tua, I think is still going to be Alabama, Coach. I don't think they're going to skip a beat. Yeah, missing Tua is going to hurt you when you talk about just the type of player he was, but when you look at this offense, they still have 2 first-round wide receivers sitting over there. So this is something that, we know how they recruit. Like I talk about to Dabo Swinney, they always reload. This Alabama team is going to be just fine.
Oh, heck yeah. Listen, I think Jones is going to be is going to have a heck of a year. And I think he'll be an outstanding quarterback for him. So I don't have any problem there at all. They have some young kids for depth and talent at that position. But Jones is a good quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I like Mac Jones a lot. I mean, he gets a bad rap because of the 2 pick sixes. I understand there's 2 pick sixes, but let's look at everything, the dynamics. He can throw the ball down the field. He has great accuracy, great arm, great kid. I mean, he's in Alabama for a reason. Let's remember that. This is not some walk-on guy they picked off the street. Coach, a couple teams to go down the list here. Wisconsin, obviously, number 4. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to get past Ohio State. We'll see, post-Jonathan Taylor era, but they continue to put out offensive linemen and running backs like it's going out of style here. Georgia and LSU right there at 5 and 6. This is interesting that LSU is as high as they are, but I also think it's mad respect to Ed O and what he's been able to do. Georgia's the question mark in all this, Coach. When I look at Georgia, they have the most pressure, I believe, right now, just because Jamie Newman, that a little bit of an experiment for Kirby Smart. We know they're replacing 4 of their 5 offensive starting linemen. Sam Pittman, the offensive line coach, is gone. Coach, when you look at Georgia, are you, right now, just for what you've seen and what you've heard, are you believing Georgia's the real deal this year?
I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Georgia. I've said this before. They lose 4 out of 5 on the offensive line. That in itself is terribly difficult to overcome. The offensive line coach, who everybody says does a heck of a job coaching the offensive line. Now we'll see how he does as the head coach at Arkansas. But then again, the other big loss is a quarterback who's done nothing but win for him, and he's a winner kid and a leader. And bringing in a guy from Wake Forest, but I just I can't see Georgia being as good a football team as they were this past year, and they had declined some because they lost 4 receivers. So anyway, attrition is hurting them.
Yeah,
LSU lost a lot, so you got all sorts of 16 people. That's very difficult to overcome for LSU.
I agree, Coach. I think this is the year I think Florida can overtake them, but we'll see what happens nonetheless. Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. We have so much we didn't get to. We'll get to Monday, though. But it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. Always look forward to it, CP.
Absolutely, Coach. You have a great weekend. We appreciate our listeners tuning in with us as well. Listen, we'll be back, like I said, on Monday, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
First Take, your take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News. Starts you with a couple of headlines. Starting to see some of the economic impact of no sports. The sudden disappearance of sports will erase at least $12 billion with a B in relevant revenue and hundreds of thousands of jobs. That's according to an economic analysis conducted for ESPN. The economic catastrophe will more than double if the college football and NFL schedules are wiped out this fall by the coronavirus pandemic. Anytime you sit there and wonder why everybody